Alright, begin by going in to the journal right there, and you're going to pull it through until you have about that much to hold on to. Okay? And then you're going to come back up on the back side like this. Then we're going to come through the closure piece. This. And when you pull it tight, you want to make sure that you're holding it, you're pinching it so you're holding that piece of sinew down so it doesn't pull through as you pull it tight. On the outside, I like to cross over when I'm sewing, and on the inside, I like to go straight. So we'll show how that looks when it's done. So we'll go down through both layers this time. On the inside, we'll go straight. At this point, while we're holding that, you can give it a good tug. And you go across. That is one time. We're going to repeat this twice. Notice I'm pulling it tight and I'm holding it with my fingers there, so while I'm getting my needle ready to go back through. Through here. As you finish, you'll come over the top on your last turn, so you'll see that we've got 2 stitches going one direction and 2 stitches going the other direction. And this time when we go through, we're only going to go through the top layer rather than both layers. Pull that nice and tight. Then you'll do a traditional embroidery closure knot where you'll bring the needle underneath, you want to leave that loop, come through it, and create a second loop. You pull that so it's tight, pull this one so it's tight, and then finish with one final one. And pull it so it's tight. All the way to the other side, and then I'll cut the sinew. I'll cut the sinew right there. There's your enclosure strap. Sew the paper into the journal. We've made 3 sections of paper with 9 sheets per section, and we folded it in half, making sure that the fold goes along the lines, the holes that are pre-drilled. Set those aside to begin. we're going to go in. So we're going in and then back through here, and we're going to tie a knot to start the process. I'm tying a square knot and pulling it tight. Now we're ready to bring our first paper. So we're going from the journal to the first hole. Okay, pause it for a second. To the first hole, and you'll pull that tight. Then in the center, we're going to go back down through to the outside of the journal. To the first hole, and you'll pull that tight. Then in the center, we're going to go back down through to the outside of the journal. Notice we started on this side. Make sure that you come through on the same side each time, because if you cross from here to there, that cross will show on your final stitching. So we've come out here. The inside looks like this. The stitching is going through here. Now we're going to go back through the journal and the paper, coming through the inside right there. Okay. So we've come through. This is our last one for this set. Making sure I go through the proper hole. And we'll pull it through here. This is where we have an opportunity to make sure that it's pulled tight. Really tug on it, and then I'm going to pull this over and hold it with my finger, making sure this is nice and tight while I go through the very outside hole. We want to pull this through, making sure to keep it tight. Come on the inside of the journal, folding the pages over. Make sure it stays tight. Come back down through the far side, pulling it tight. And then we're going to go right down through the middle hole to start our next set of pages. Okay. We have our thread coming out here. We're going to do the same process, going from here to the outside and through the paper. To the inside. Okay. And from here to the paper, and we're going on the inside, making sure that you go down the center hole to the outside. Pull that snugly, and then we'll go back in to the inside, through the holes in the paper, back through. Come through, pulling it nice and tight, and then our last one for the center section, we'll go through the paper into the center hole of the top part of the journal and through. Here again, we want to pull this tight, fold it back, and hold it with your finger until you can get it through the journal. For the last one, we're going to go from this furthest hole where we went through all the way to the other side, the first page, the first hole we started on, you can see the knot, and we're going to go through there, again pulling it very tight, and then we're going to come across all 3 holes and go back in here to start sewing in the last set of pages. Before you start your last set, try your pages and make sure they're tight and they're not loose and falling around. They should be nice and tight. So from here, we'll bring our last set of pages. We're already out of the journal here. We're going to go into the paper. Okay. We've come through. Now we're going down into the hole there to the outside of the journal. Now we'll be going through the last one. You can test these and see how tight they are to know if your pages will stay well. So we'll go in here, through the paper, to the inside of the journal. We're through here. We'll go down. And into the last hole, ending on the outside of the journal here. After we're through, we'll grab all the pieces of paper, pinch them together, give it a nice tug so it's tight, come over, go down the middle hole and through just halfway. Go ahead. We're coming through the center, again pulling it tight. Then we're going to go under all the pages and come out the other side of the journal, pulling it nice and tight. And here we'll tie another closure knot. Go ahead. Pulling it through. Make sure you're around that last stitch. And go through the loop. And through the loop one last time. Creating a traditional embroidery closure knot. Pull it nice and tight and trim. Leave a little bit of sinew on there and it will just tuck down and hide. So after your pages are sewn in, they look like this. In the center sections, they should be held into the journal nice and tight. The outside of the journal looks consistent where you've got 3 bars here. The stitching is identical there. Close it. And you're ready to go.